With the explosion of independent gaming over the past couple of years, it's only natural that there would be a similar rise in kick-ass music to go along with it. The increases in production values of indie soundtracks and the proliferation of modern talent has resulted in a metric ton of classic soundtracks. There were so many candidates for this list that I could have easily made a top 25 list. I even had to leave several of my favorites off of it. Regardless, the following soundtracks easily deserve mentions amongst the greatest of all time, and it is well worth your time to track them down. And now, without further ado, let's dive into the top 10 plus 10 indie game soundtracks of all time. A quick rundown of the criteria for this list.
Number 1, original scores only. Number 2, currently available for purchase, standalone. Number 3, I value consistency over any other factor, hence why some notable and award-winning soundtracks aren't on this list. People tend to forget that alongside the memorable tunes, there are often whole albums of other tracks waiting to be dissected, and they often disappoint when compared to the great tracks. If you see that your favorite soundtrack is not on the list or isn't as high as you hoped, don't despair.
Alrighty! First you might think, meh, typical RPG-esque soundtrack, but then those gorgeous piano melodies chime in and make all of your doubts float away. Using time-tested compositional techniques and combining them with a keen sense of melody and character, this soundtrack hits all of the right chords for greatness. A highly emotional score for one of the great stories in video games. FTL proved just how much fun and frantic space combat / exploration could be, but I doubt it would have had the same impact if it weren't for Ben Prunty's impressive score. Hectic action tracks filled with rumbling bass lines and thundering percussion punctuate the rhythm of battle. After the fires and enemies have been taken care of, there lies a feast of synthetic ambiences to ponder. No matter how badly you've been blasted, or how long you explore the vast vacuum of space, FTL has you covered with its magnificent score. Gunpoint's jazzy atmospherics, when combined with the synthetic flourishes of its espionage, are a great icebreaker for any event. An impeccable sense of rhythm and mood grace this soundtrack. Heck, I'm continually amazed at how cool this soundtrack makes me feel, just by listening to it. I don't think you could possibly disagree. You're cooler just for listening to it, and that's why it makes the list.
Dear Esther, the morning after I was washed ashore, salt in my ears, sand in my mouth, and the waves always at my ankles, I felt as though everything had conspired to this one last shipwreck. I remembered nothing but water, stones in my belly and my shoes, threatening to drag me under to where only the most listless of creatures swim.
Yeah, this isn't a game, yada yada yada. We're here to focus on the music, bub, and Jessica Curry's work here reaches truly epic heights. No hint of bombast, this score focuses on crafting a character study, and it meshes with the game's themes beautifully. If Dear Esther is a game about loss and our understanding of the aftermath, then this soundtrack emphasizes the beauty and affirmation that can come from it. I'll never forget climbing that tower, and I'll treasure this soundtrack for years to come. hell? What is this game doing here? Well, buddy, you're going to be in for quite a few more shocks as this list moves along. But let it be said that Aqua Kitty fully deserves to be here for its awesome chip tunes. Perfectly emulating the melodic bliss of the Sega Genesis era, there may not be a more nostalgic burst of joy in gaming. Bringing modern production values and a keen ear for a hook, this is one of the great buried treasures in video game scores. Don't just stand there, give it all of your money! Yet another shocker, but wait, what's that? I hear one hell of a dance track, and this soundtrack is full of them. With most gamers having condensed the killing of zombies into an almost rhythmic trance anyways, it makes sense for a soundtrack to finally just give in and indulge itself in the morbid fascinations of its genre. If you're into artists like Daft Punk and the Chemical Brothers, then this soundtrack will definitely worm its way into your headspace, and I guarantee it will never leave. Minecraft, you purveyor of endless worlds and encourager of mass destruction and creativity, the likes of which still astounds. But I digress. The beautifully haunting soundscapes from C418 are the perfect complement to the almost childlike sense of wonder this game can inspire. There are not many tracks in video game history that can bring tears of pure joy, but Minecraft can pack a wallop with the best of them. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to put the finishing touches on my castle, and my mineshaft, and my waterfall retreat. Sweet bliss. Final real shocker on this list! This one is a doozy. Coming completely out of left field a mere 2 days before I compiled this list, Snapshot's blissfully melodic soundtrack is one of the greatest achievements in music that I have ever had the pleasure to hear. This score packs in so many sonic details and melodies that it simply overawed me. This soundtrack may have been overlooked because the game itself is merely good as opposed to great, but don't let that discourage you. It should go without saying that this is one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. If Journey is one of the great visual feasts in gaming, then Austin Wintory's gorgeous score matches its beauty step for step, note for note. If the thrill of flying high above the oceans of sand and reflected light doesn't tug at your heart, then then the sonic warmth and graceful swells of the orchestra will pull you along the path. There's simply no denying Journey's greatness as a complete package, and its score can easily stand as a masterpiece unto itself. Now for the big one. The best indie game soundtrack of all time is... Filled with some of the most gut-wrenching violence imaginable, this game will set your killing sprees to beats lifted straight from the hell club your character inhabits. Psychedelia and paranoia slowly sets in among the neon lights and cocaine highs. While many games can boast orchestras and sonic depth, Hotline Miami's soundtrack quickly sets a tone and mood that utterly captivates. It's easily the most unique soundtrack ever recorded. As the game has you murder your way to its climactic finale, the blood-drenched synths and thundering percussion will ensure that, whatever your preferences, this score will remain etched in the darkest parts of your psyche forever.